I'm starting in Fulham Broadway, lovely London, sunny, and we are going to go to Tower Bridge. Very nice ride through central London on a blue sunny day, and I'm short sleeves. First time in 6 months that I'm wearing short sleeves. I almost forgot what the sun looked like. It's incredible. Okay, let's go. Let's get here. We're back on business. And the setup I'm using is, I have my specialized road bike. Nothing special. It's been with me for around 10 years. And nicknamed the Mighty One, or La Poderosa. It saved me so much money, and it gets me everywhere I need to go in no time. Filming, I'm using the DJI Pocket 3 on FPV mode, testing the new Freewell wide-angle lens and an ND32 filter. And I just hope that the lens is going to stick to the camera enough to make it to Tower Bridge. It should do it, but I want to make sure that it does, because if it doesn't, you kind of need to know. I'm also on FPV mode, so I'm quite curious as to what the result is going to be. And never overtake a bus when it's moving. That's one big advice that I give you, unless you have a very clear space ahead of you. Because buses can turn left or right and they can literally crush you. So we're gonna be riding through London, through all the traffic, and hopefully it's gonna be a very nice and pleasant ride. It's early morning, so most people should be at work. So we should have a lot of traffic, but hopefully not many people jumping on the road or cutting across. But that's another thing that you need to be mindful of. Anyhow, the Pocket 3 is on manual mode for the exposure. I'm using an ND32 manual white balance, and that's it really. I mean, I'm using the colors, the normal color space, and let's see what this looks like. This is Chelsea Borough and South Kensington. This is a very nice and expensive London borough. Well, actually, it's the most expensive London borough. Here, if you have property, it's equivalent to winning a lottery ticket. Prices always go up. It's the only borough in Europe that the prices went up during COVID. So that should give you an indication of the kind of neighborhood that this is. I don't think you're gonna find anything in this neighborhood south of £1 million for a one-bedroom. Most of the properties here, you know, you need to be well off to be able to afford not just an apartment, because most of the places are houses. But if you want a house or property, you're looking at 3, 4, 5 million plus. Serious money, not for the average person. Yellow line there, yellow light. This is where my son was born, this hospital. Chelsea and Westminster Hospital, very fancy name. Ooh. One of the advantages of cycling through a borough like this is that the roads are in really good quality, because, you know, the borough has money to pay for all these things. And obviously when you have multi-millionaires living in a very fancy neighborhood, they don't want dodgy roads or roads that you cannot really have a pleasant ride. So the roads tend to be quite nice and smooth. And it's really nice to ride, you know. One thing that you notice as you cycle is that you have very little diversity around here. It's mostly clear-skinned people, call it Latinos or white people. I don't know why. It's such a shame. But anyway, let's not get political. This is, well, you can see the car that I've got ahead of me. I don't know, that must be a Maserati or some kind of expensive, fancy car. Okay, I'm turning left now. You can see the quality of the housing around here. It's really nice. Obviously, you see rubbish bins because it's collection day today, so everybody piles the rubbish bags. I don't understand this. You have this borough where you go multi-million properties. I mean, I am literally talking about any of these houses that you see on the left. You're not gonna find them for less than 4 or 5 million quid, okay? And the rubbish is just out in the streets. It's shocking. It's just one of these contradictions that you see in the city of London. It's like back in the days when you would go to Soho and you would have a brothel right next to a corporate office. I mean, you still do to some extent, but back in the day it was much more widespread. And one thing that you need to appreciate when you cycle in the city is that a lot of it is about confidence, you know. If you want to ride safely between the traffic, you need to be confident, because otherwise you can literally have an accident very easily just because you're not committed to whatever it is that you need to do. So always bear that in mind if you ride a bicycle in a big city, that probably about 60 or 70% is about confidence and also understanding when to overtake and when not to overtake. So for instance, I never overtake a vehicle when I am approaching a road. So if I'm going straight and I have a road to the left, I never overtake when I'm approaching that actual road. Just in case the car that I got next to me forgets to put the indicators. It's happened to me so many times. You know, once you do this for a while, you learn a few tricks. And look at this. It's actually quite nice, all this area. You know, in general terms, London roads are actually very good. Oh, I missed the turn there. Look, this is South Kent. This is a very nice area, South Kensington. There is really good money around here, really good properties. I've had quite a few meetings, very nice pubs and meeting rooms around here. It's just a nice neighborhood, you know, to live. I mean, expensive as hell, but can you imagine living in a place where it's actually nice to come out, and especially when the sun is out in London. I mean, it doesn't happen as often as one wishes it to, but it's really nice. Okay, let's just go through. And very, very nice. Very clean. I like that. I like that a lot. And they have a lot of museums. And you know, museums in the UK are free of charge. They are funded by government grants. So that's one advantage that you have in this country. You know, that culture in that regard is is well funded. And obviously, you see all these boxes, they're asking for money in case that they need to do any renovations, because obviously, funding is limited. But the fact that as a person, you get it for free is great. Look, that's people coming for the Natural History Museum, and right next to it, you got the Science Museum. This is a really cool museum if you have young kids. They have a lot of interactive activities, very, very nice. And up there, I believe there is a royal residency. Imperial College, very famous university. And a lot of these buildings, they're converted to bed and breakfast. Not many people really live around here because it's just too expensive. It just doesn't make sense. So a lot of these buildings, they've been converted to offices and bed and breakfasts. You start to see a lot of embassies around here. That's the Iranian one, Turkish. I don't know if that's, I can't see where the flag is. Okay, let's go. Let's go into the park. And there we go. Another thing that you notice when you come into central London is that they are trying to make it easy for cyclists. So you start to see segregated areas or entire roads just for bicycles, like this one, which is great because it separates you from traffic. Not so much on a day like today that you can't see any cars, but when it's heavy traffic, it is welcomed, And we will go through another segregated area through central London. It goes all the way up from Westminster up to almost Tower Bridge. They spend good money there. A lot of complaints from taxi drivers and courier companies. But I think it's really nice. It keeps cars and cyclists separated, safe. And driving in London now is so expensive that unless you are someone that works doing any type of delivery, so for instance, if you work as a truck or delivery driver, this is great. Look, that's an army. Those were army. I wanted to have a peek as to what they were doing. Just in a white van, you had 4 guys dressed up as army staff. So wondering, there might be some people trying to do something dodgy. But anyway, it's really nice when you have these segregated areas because London is so expensive unless you work, delivering something or as a taxi driver or courier driver or anything to do with driving a vehicle. It just doesn't make sense to drive in central London, It's a lot easier to just jump on a bike and just ride in. I wish electrical bikes were not that expensive, a bit cheaper. But you know, you can get a conversion like the one that I have from Switch. And I converted my road bike into a semi-electric for, I think it cost about £300 or £350, which is manageable. It's still a fair bit of money, but it's manageable. But it means that you arrive to whatever it is that you need to go without being absolutely knackered. Okay, we need to turn right here. Let's go through here. Now we need to be careful because there is a lot of tourists around here. And we don't want to have an accident or causing an accident. And we are driving into Pandemonium again. But we need to go through that arch. Okay, green for people on bikes. And you're gonna see a lot of tourist groups. I mean, this is what London is all about, tourism, really. Whoa, what is that guy doing? Some people are just crazy. Sometimes I wonder if people value their own lives sometimes, you know, because the things that some people do sometimes. Look, it's a really nice memorial down there. Let's avoid all of that altogether. There is just plenty of people there. There is a lot of monuments to the fallen in London because the UK has pretty much been part of every war there's ever been, you know. So there is a lot of people that unfortunately have lost their lives over the decades and centuries. So everywhere you go, you have monuments, and you need to be respectful because these people, whether you agree with them or not, they lay their lives for us to have an opinion and voice an opinion. Whether you agree with that opinion or not, that's entirely down to freedom of speech, but the fact that we have it is thanks to, in a lot of the cases, for these people that they died for us. So I'm always very respectful when I see one of these monuments. I just wish that we never have to go back to that. You know, I hate wars. Look at that, that's Buckingham Palace. Let's do I don't think we can go around it to show you. Maybe now, there is a red light here. We need to go right. So that's the Buckingham Palace there. And very popular area. The actual palace is inside. This is just a facade that they built because the English royal family was jealous of the French. The French have the incredible palaces and they were very jealous, so they contracted someone to build this front. So the actual palace is the building that is behind it, and you have a courtyard in between. This is a very busy area. Oh, let's go. But, you know, touristic as it is, the actual roads are really good. They're really good quality, you know. This is the chains of the guard. Look, they got them all there. And only the royal family can drive through here and go through that entrance there. Nobody else is allowed. It's one of the many royal etiquette traditions that there are in this country. And the quality of the roads is great. I mean, it's actually really smooth. Everything that you see on the left is the royal gardens. Yeah, can you imagine what this must have been 100 to 200 years ago? That must have been really nice. Wow, so now we're coming on to, again, back into the city. The Pall Mall, leading on to Westminster. Westminster, no, this is not Pall Mall, I made a mistake. We're coming on to Westminster now. This is so busy with tourists. And that's the government. They're in a bit of a mess at the moment, to be honest with you. So that on the right is the Westminster, the House of Parliament. And then the building on the left was converted about 15 years ago. And that's where a lot of the ministers have their offices, and they have a tunnel underground that connects both buildings. And this is a funny area because they have some security designated areas, and they're very, very specific. And I've been in situations where I've gone with a tripod and a security person comes and says, no, you can't put a tripod there. But if I move the tripod 2 meters down the road, it was okay. It's really weird, you know, like normally I would imagine that we say, no, you can't put a tripod down anywhere in this area. But no, it's very specific. It's almost like a bit moronic, really. But hey, you know, who am I to tell them how to run their operations, you know? Okay, so let's come on to traffic and more traffic. And the red light. This area you need to be very careful and abide by the traffic lights because there is people, there is buses, cars, foreigners that they don't understand where cars are coming from, so it's just best to be safe, really. Well, you should always abide by the traffic lights. But you know, look, you have all these statues here. I don't know if you get to see any of them. You got Winston Churchill there, and all along this park you got statues of mostly men. Oddly, there is only one woman. Eh? How about that? And also mostly white men, except Nelson Mandela, black man, and the woman that started the suffragettes movement. That's the only two people that are not men and white. There you are. Let's get through this. And let's get through that. And we're gonna go into what they call the bicycle motorway. This is actually really nice that they've done this for bicycles. So it's totally segregated because this is a very, very heavily congested area traffic-wise. So we can now go onto this. And now this is all bicycle. This is really nice. Now all the thing that you need to worry about here is people crossing. But look how much nicer it is, and the road is really smooth, and you can see the London Eye, the river. I mean, this is a lovely walk if you come as a tourist around here. Even if you want to cycle, it's really nice on a nice sunny day like today. Ah, it's really fantastic. 6 months since I've been on a t-shirt, and it's just so nice. I really need to move out of this country and to a warmer country. I just hope that more people subscribe to the channel and I make more money from it. But that's the ultimate goal, take the family away onto a warmer climate. London is a great city if you are young and single and ready to mingle. I think it's not the best place to raise a family. I mean, you can raise a family, of course. Many people raise their entire families in London. We are raising our family in London at the moment. But I think when you see what other people have for their kids and how they raise their kids in much more slower places, the pace of the city is insane, the traffic is everywhere. You know, I travel, I see family and relatives, and they go green areas, swimming pools. Obviously, you don't get to enjoy those views and all the things that London has to offer, but once you start a family, I think a lot of these things, they lose their value, really. It's all about the children. But anyway, this is, as you can clearly see, a very nice ride, very safe, no need to worry about cars. When they did this, it took them about a year and a half or 2 years, and they had so many complaints from taxi drivers, delivery companies, courier companies, everybody that had anything to do with driving. They were up in arms. Now, nobody cares. Nobody makes any comment. Everybody gets on with it. It's really nice for cyclists. It promotes cycling. You know, sometimes you need people with a little bit of vision, you know. Anything that disturbs our everyday routine, we tend to complain. We don't tend to see the bigger picture. So sometimes it's good to have someone that has that vision. I wish we had more politicians with that capacity. They're all crooked thieves and incompetents. Anyway, let's not get political. London has many bridges. Some of them are nicer than others. The one that we're going to is Tower Bridge. It's one of the nicest ones. With Albert Bridge are my two favorite bridges in London. They are just really nice. So look, we are almost all the way up to Tower Hill. That's really nice. And you know, we have these traffic lights there. And they are very cute for the bicycles. I don't know if you see them in the frame. They're nice, little, tiny little traffic lights. They do the job. They're really nice. Okay. So let's carry on this way. Okay, let's see if we can catch up. Let's go fast, 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 fast. Oh, I need to clean my chain. Very noisy. Uh-oh. Oh. This is a totally different area now, less touristic, although you got the riverside not far away, but you don't have the volume of tourism that you have in the center. But the approach to the bridge is really nice. And the traffic, wow, the traffic of London. Well, I guess it's the same in every major city. It's just relentless. All right, we'll stop here. Okay. Sure, I better. No cars coming my way. I mean, I have to say, I love the fact that you can cycle on this particular route, not everywhere, but segregated from the traffic, because it does help. You know, this is heavy trucks. You can get an accident so easily. Anyway, this is not gonna last for long. Soon we're gonna join the traffic, but we cleared most of the journey, so that's very good. Watch it! Sometimes you need to remind people that cyclists are also vehicles. They don't see a car coming and they think they can just walk. Ah, look at the bridge over there. Don't know if you can see the top of the bridge over there. I did wanted to shoot this ride also on my Action 4, but the rig was too heavy for my chest mount and it was just too bouncy. So I'm doing this ride on the Pocket 3 and then I will do the return on the Action 4. This is the Tower of London on the right, and this was a prison for a very long time. They used to put here the VIPs, the very dangerous or the most dangerous prisoners. They would have them here in this prison. So make sure that we re-enter the traffic safely now, because we are now going through the bridge and we're gonna end in St. Catherine's Dock, which is something that many people never get to see. And it's the Marina of London, well, one of many. And so that's the famous bridge, and we're gonna go through here. And onto this, I love this St. Catherine's Dock. It's absolutely amazing. Really, really nice. I do hate this bump though. So, whoa! Look at this. Very nice way to end the video. St. Catherine's Dock.